places up until about 30 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot of electricity going through a lot part of the country. Preserving is how we did things, in the old days. We preserved things with smoke, we preserved them with salt, we fermented them, we pickled them, all sorts of stuff. They did a lot of fermenting, a lot of pickling, a lot of salting stuff. And what you're going to find is they'll use a lot of different things from the sea, preserve them. We're going to go through pad thai. So traditional pad thai, my wife always thinks that it's peanut sauce. It's not a peanut sauce. It has chopped up peanuts on it. And some people throw peanut butter in there to make their sauce a little bit creamier, but it's not a peanut sauce. So pad thai is going to be noodle based. We're going to use the traditional Oriental style rice noodles. I don't know if you guys can see that well. They come, when you pull them out of the bag, they are stiff and white, opaque looking almost. And if you read the directions, which will not help you at all, it says place rice sticks into boiling water and cook for 6 to 8 minutes until soft. That's actually a lot of the better directions that I've seen. Normally it's place in warm water for 3 to 4 minutes. That's not going to get you where you want to go, okay? So we're going to soak these in warm water, which is what I have going on here, okay? You can use any thickness that you want of the noodles. These have been soaking for about half an hour now, and they are not even al dente yet. It's hard to tell on the computer. I can twist them around, but they're still pretty solid. So we're going to keep soaking them. Once we take them out, we're going to throw them in the pan with the protein, some other stuff, and some sauce. So we're going to actually let them cook in the pan. So keep that in mind. You may need to add some more liquid or broth to this. So they're going to cook in the pan for a while to finish softening up. The good side to that is that they're going to absorb the flavor of whatever sauce is in there. It's just like if you're making dried pasta, spaghetti or whatever, if you cook that in some sort of chicken broth or other flavored liquid, that's going to pick it up. If it was fresh pasta, it's not going to pick up nearly as much because it doesn't need to absorb that much liquid. Dry pasta does. The rice noodles will do the same thing. So they're going to actually cook in the pan. So we're doing chicken pad thai today. So I have my chicken here. We're going to cut everything. This is stir fry. Even though we're not using a wok, this is a stir fry type of thing. So everything has to be bite size. Okay. So we're going to take our chicken. We're going to cut it against the grain. Okay. That's important. You want to cut it against the grain. If you cut it with the grain, it can toughen up. It's just like flank steak or anything else. We could velvet it too, which would help tenderize it also, but this recipe doesn't call for that. So we're just going to cut it against the grain. Don't cut it too thin. Bite size, but not too thin. Remember, this is all cooking, has to cook together. So it's about timing when you put your products in there. If you don't put them in there, if you put them in there too early, they're going to overcook. Your vegetables will turn to mush, so forth. Give me 1 second to go rinse this by hand real quick. Don't want to get the salmonella. All right, what are our other ingredients in this? So holding this up here, we have a couple different things. First of all, garlic is going to be in it. I don't know if you can, it'll be okay. Don't chop your garlic too fine, guys. This is high heat cooking. All right, if you chop it too fine, it's going to burn. We don't want burned garlic. My mother, not with the garlic for her. Palm sugar, okay? Shaved right off of it. If you don't have palm sugar, the next closest thing is going to be brown sugar. Thai people like their stuff sweet, okay? Palm sugar, though, is incredibly cheap, and usually it comes in these little discs. You buy it in a pack, it's like $1 something for a pack of them. We have dried shrimp. This is what I'm talking about as far as preserving seafood and so forth. Okay, I don't know if you can, there we go. See these little bad boys? I diced them up a little bit. You aren't going to really get the shrimp flavor out of this. This is not what they're for. They're for 2 things. 1 is saltiness and 2 is umami. drying out the shrimp is going to, one, keep it for a long time. Two, it's going to condense that flavor. So when that gets in there, it's like a ooh shrimp, but you're going to have that sweet, savory umami-ness going on, which is fantastic. You'll see a lot of dried fish. If you go to the Asian market, they have a whole section of just different dried fish going on. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right. What else do we have? Bean sprouts. Okay, those will go in at the end. Tofu. Tofu. Everybody's favorite. This is who's laughing over there? So this is a stir-fried dish, right? You're going to be moving stuff around in there. I was watching a lot of videos, look at different recipes, and what they recommended was what they called baked or dried tofu. So when it comes out, okay, one is you see the color. So it's got a little bit more flavor to it. Not that tofu has much flavor. I mean, tofu is a flavor vehicle where it's going to pick up the flavor. What else? It's a filler, okay? But it has a little bit more flavor, but it's also tough, right? It has a lot more durability than your regular tofus, okay? So baked or dried tofu. If you feel the need, you're making it home for yourself to throw some vegetables in there, which usually there's not a whole lot. Baby bok choy is fantastic, okay? Tamarind. Did you guys, I think it's in India where the Indian chapter, where we talk about the kids would pick the tamarind not nuts, but the beans off the tree and eat them. Tamarind is both sweet and sour, okay? This is seedless tamarind paste, which is what this is here, okay? This will get in there and it will dissolve. To me, it's always seemed sour, but this is, most Asian cooking is a balance between yings and yangs, okay? Sweets and sours, spices and cools, crunchy and soft. They like to play with their contrasting flavors and textures a lot. But tamarind is really important to the authenticity of this dish, okay? We have our soy sauce. There's gonna be a bunch of sours in here. So we also have our vinegar, rice wine vinegar if you have it, fantastic. We also have fish sauce. My wife is like, fish sauce. Yes, it's made with fermented fish and everything, but you're not getting that fishy flavor out of it. Again, it's saltiness, it's umami that you're putting in there, and a bit of flavor, okay?
Okay.
There's every country over there, Vietnam, Thailand, Korea, they all have their different particular brands and flavors. Think of it as ketchup or barbecue sauce. There's 100 different ones out there, okay? They're all barbecue sauce or all ketchup, but they all have their own little different styling to it, okay? Find a fish sauce that you like and keep with it. It's important because you'll know that flavor profile, where if you use somebody else's fish sauce you've never had before, it could be a bit out there. One of the countries you were studying was Indonesia, which is a whole bunch of thousands of little islands there south of that peninsula where Thailand and Vietnam and everything are. One of the things that they love is sambal olik. This is a paste of ground up chilies. This stuff is fantastic. It's got some other ingredients in there. I could read them to you, but they're in, Indonesian language. You wouldn't understand that. I'm fluent in it though, don't worry about it. But it's a chili paste. And just like everything else, there's 100 different kinds of chili paste, each one with its own different flavor. But this stuff, really good. Okay, so one of the things that I put in here, well, carrots, okay, just for a little color and a little crunchiness. These are my chopped peanuts for the end. Okay, if I figure the camera out here. All right. Couple of eggs. We're gonna put them right in the pan, cook them in the pan. Chicken we already talked about. So one thing it calls for is sweet preserved daikon radish. Now they were all out of this, so we have chili radish strips and soy sauce, which will give us some flavor, a little bit of crunch. So, but I don't have the sweet, so I will kick up the palm sugar a little bit. But I also found this cool stuff, which I just got, I really like. This is sweet preserved ginger, which is pretty cool too. So we're gonna get a little bit of the crunch out of that. We're gonna pick up the sweetness as well as adding a little bit of ginger to it. And then finally, we have Asian chives. Ideally, you would like to get garlic chives. It gives you a mix between the garlic and the chive flavor. So we got our onionness going on as well as a little bit of garlic in there. These we're going to cut on a bias. We're going to keep them large. Okay. These will get sprinkled in at the end. Again, for a little bit of flavor, a little bit of crunchiness, and color. So that's what we got going on. We're going to switch over here to the pan. We're going to start cooking this up. So unfortunately, this is the last you'll see my smiling face for a little bit, guys. We're going to go to the pan, so you'll hear me narrating about what's going on here. This dish should cook up quickly. The longest cooking part is when we get those noodles in there, and we got to get them to where they need to be. Does that make sense? All right, let's switch over to the pan here. We want to get our pan really hot, okay? Usually this is done in a wok, and that's simply because that's what's available. Any type of large pan that's heavy, that will hold a lot of heat, would be ideal for this. Enameled cast iron pans. This is one of those big giant steel pans that we have downstairs. So this is what we're gonna roll with. We're getting it nice and hot. They say you almost want to see the smoky whiteness coming on. I've got some oil in here, not a lot. I don't need a lot. I'm gonna get in my aromatics first. So I'm gonna put in my carrots in here, a little bit of the garlic in here. Gonna let that get going. Oh, I'm out of practice, guys. I don't need it going long. I definitely don't want to burn my garlic up. Okay, I just want to get the smells going. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of the chive in there now, just because I want that onionness in there to cook around. I'm going to throw in my meat. Don't be afraid to be scraping the bottom of the pan here, guys. All those little bits, you know, in French cooking, we call it fond. All that stuff going on in the bottom of the pan. That's fantastic. Okay. I don't need my chicken to cook up that much. Okay, I just want to kind of get it sealed before I add any liquid in here. I get a little bit of color, a little flavor build up, and then I can start adding my liquids in. A little soy. I'll turn the heat down on that just a little bit. Right, a little bit of vinegar to start with. Then I get my noodles in there. And start mushing them around. Get the noodles coated, flip them around. The noodles are literally cooking in here right now. I need a little bit of fish sauce. I'm going to get some of my tamarind in there. Because that tamarind, they do have tamarind that is in a liquid form. I was not able to find that. So because it's paste, we got to get that in there and let that, get the heat back up, let that melt down, okay? That'll take a little while for that to melt for us. Don't be afraid to let that stick a little bit at the bottom. We're going to throw our tofu in, because Dan's like, I have to have my tofu, chef.
Yes, I am. I love tofu, especially the dried one.
We're going to put our chopped up shrimp in there. Get the rest of our carrots in there. Get some of our palm sugar, okay? Now, like I said, we're gonna be adding liquid to this over time. Chicken broth would be ideal from my point of view, but it doesn't have to be. Water works out just fine. If you're putting shrimp, you're doing a shrimp pad thai, little fish stock, that would be good too. Keep mushing it around. Make sure you get on the, where are you? Onto that tamarind and get that melting up, okay? One, you don't want somebody to have a big giant chunk of tamarind to bite into. That could get a little gross. But secondly, also, you really want that flavor. Okay. Well, I can see it up there. For those of you who've been cooking a while, and you have been now since you're all management students, right? You can see that the noodles look like they're done, okay? But you still have to give them the old bite test. Not yet. The Thai people like their stuff sweet, so don't be bashful with the palm sugar, okay? Also, I think we're getting to that point where we can add the egg. So I moved everything off to one side, okay? We're gonna put our eggs directly in. Let them set up for a minute. They don't have to be scrambled right away, all right? And what we're going to do is, once they set up for a minute, then we're just going to break them up, scramble them, toss everything together. All right? You're going to be scraping off the bottom of the pan. Don't worry about it. Don't use a non-stick pan for this, guys. That's not what you're doing. We're going to get our beans in there. We're going to get the rest of our scallions in there. All right. We're not trying to cook the scallions too much. Remember, it's a dance between the two. Okay? Sweet, sour, crunchy, and soft. Check our flavor. I need that in a second. Needs a little bit of liquid, little bit of pepper, not too much. A hint more soy. And we're just gonna, and for good measure, a dash of fish sauce. What the hell? Then we're gonna stir that all up, make sure that it's nice and mixed. Bottom. If Dan hooked me up with the plate. Also, don't break your noodles up, guys. In the Asian cultures, the length of your noodle is indicative of how long you will live. So, if you ever notice see some of the videos, you see some of the noodles, they have incredibly long noodles and so forth going on. Okay. Little peanut on top of that. Let's get this out of the way. I can add just a little bit more of the chive if I want for color on top. It's not plating wise, it's not one of your more fantastic dishes, okay? Because everything's kind of put together, and that's the way that it goes. You could throw some like a carrot butterfly or something on there, scallion bunches, whatever, something to jazz up the plate as a plate garnish. But as far as the plating, you're going to find with a lot of them, they're one dish meals. So there's not a whole lot you can do with them plating wise. Some people take a banana leaf. If you've ever seen them, the giant leaves will be in sometimes you find them frozen, sometimes they're in the fresh produce section. You'll unfold them, they're enormous leaves, and they'll cut circles out of them, put down underneath to give you a little bit more contrast between the plate and the dish itself. All right. It's not a very liquidy dish, but it shouldn't be dry either. But it's not, doesn't really have a sauce on it. Now just to taste it. Oh my God. Oh, Chef Mark, that's amazing. You are such an incredible chef, Mark. I know. You're welcome. This is quick and simple. You'll find this on the streets. And really, I mean, there's a traditional way of doing it, but really it can be a kitchen sink kind of dish too. Whatever you have that you want to get rid of or bulk it up, whatever's going on, you can throw it in there. It's not going to hurt it. So play around with it. But again, not a peanut sauce like my wife thinks. It just has some chopped peanuts on top. But I've had it where they throw a dollop of peanut butter in there to make it all creamy. It's been delicious. Are any questions about the dish? No? Oh, Alberto's got a question.
He should be able to unmute himself.
You can unmute yourself, Alberto.
I have a question about your sanity.
My lack of sanity, no one's really questioned that. I mean, we're pretty much all in agreement that it's gone there, Alberto.
Now, you said earlier that the noodles weren't like soaking, weren't exactly the way they needed to be.
Correct.
But when you cook them, it finished that process.
Correct.
So the noodles are now like they're fully cooked. They're as soft as they need to be because of the process of the cooking. Okay.
You think of it almost as a three-step process. So first I rehydrate them and just put them in warm water. That's number one. And that got to the point where they're flexible, but they're still hard. Then I put, what do we, hold on a second.
I got to mute this one.
Okay, that should be better. So soak them to start rehydrating them. Then I threw them in the pan. What that did was, one, it burned the moisture off them and start to fry them just a little bit. Then I added liquid in. And so they were literally cooking in the sauce, and it will absorb that. When I make spaghetti at home, I cook my pasta al dente. I drain it. I leave just a little bit of the starchy pasta water in there. I put the pasta still in that pan. I throw the sauce in that pan with the meat and juices from the pan that I made, and I stir that all up and let it sit. If you were to try to eat that right away, that's going to be liquidy because of the pasta water. But if you leave that sit, it's going to continue to cook and it's going to absorb that water. Now, this, I was actually, the heat was high when I was cooking this. So I was basically cooking the pasta in the sauce as opposed to just letting it at the end absorb the rest of it. So yeah, it's a three-step cooking process. That answer your question?
Yep.
Okay.
Did you put the tofu in there for Chef Dan?
I did. I didn't want to. He begged me. It's his own homemade tofu. So, you know.
Get it hanging in the basement for a while with his wine.
Yeah, it was in the basement hanging with his wine. I have to say, though, the baked tofu, and I'm not a tofu person. I don't like the texture of it that much. Even, I mean, it comes in very extremely soft to firm tofu, and they firm it up by pressing it, getting the moisture out of it. But the baked or the dried tofu, I like the flavor of it a little bit better, although the flavor of tofu is not the thing. It's just a flavor vehicle. But the texture is much better. Think of the texture like a giant portobello mushroom kind of texture when it's cooked. Okay. Well, I guess I should eat this then.
Oh yeah.
No other questions? What do you want to now, Chef Bleacher?
We actually were we were doing all the Thai food. That's exactly what we were doing
Okay.
in class. So we were getting close to Indonesia. We did China already. Usually the Chinese have something called a longevity noodle, which is almost like 6 foot long or something like that. It's
There are some good
extremely long.
videos about them making it where they just keep throwing the dough ball in this thing, it's pounding it through, and the noodle goes into this big giant circulating thing of hot water to cook it, and it just comes out. They're extremely long. They equate that with life, and I mean, but then again, in Asian countries, food is very much linked to life more so for us. For us, it's comfort food. For us, we know we have to have it. But for them, food is also medicine. And so they very much put a lot more thought into their food. We put a lot of thought in our food flavor-wise. They put a lot of thought into their food. You'll find this when you get to Japan and so forth, about what the colors mean, what the flavors symbolize from life, from health, and all aspects of it. And it's really cool. But I don't know that they grew up with it, so it's ingrained to them. For someone like me to actually start to try and put all that sort of effort into my food, that'd be a little bit more than even under lockdown here, a little bit more time than I have on my hands. But when you get into Indonesia, the food is spicy but really tasty. Thai food, Vietnam is a mix of the French and the Chinese, right? Because the top of Vietnam touches the Chinese border there. So Vietnam got a lot of fusion going on, which is fantastic. They use a lot of lime too. We didn't have lime today, but some lime juice in there, give it a little zing. Remember, things like lime and lemon that you add at the very end, just over top of it, is something that's going to give you both freshness and a little zing, a little peppiness to your stuff. It's like the sauces, right? Heat, salt, lemon, those kind of things that are just enough to give you a little bang. Most Mexican dishes, when you get stuff, they garnish with lime, and you squeeze it over top of your stuff. It really makes the flavors pop. We serve shrimp or seafood. We give them lemon, squeeze that. It's fresh and it's peppy, and it brings you to life.
And the other thing we were talking about yesterday was curries. We went through all the curries and I showed them a lot of the videos, the ones on CIA. Actually, all that stuff's online. I mean, it's great because you could and there's more additional content online now than there is before. So any thoughts on curry?
I've never been a huge curry person. My wife loves it. Chicken curry, there's one place we go, she always gets the chicken curry. But curry again, I mean, curry is not it's, they're curry leaves, but that's not what curry is. Curry is a blend of many, many, many seasonings. It's a base. Just like ketchup was originally a base for sauces and so forth. There's a pre-mixed number of things that we just started eating as a condiment. So that you didn't have to get together 15 different spices and mix it all together. So curries are that way, and there's literally dozens, if not hundreds, of styles of curries, both color-wise, which is an indicator of heat often, but also you get into wet and dry mixes. You get into the coconut milk-based things and so forth. There's a lot of different stuff going on. They are fun, and I have gotten to the point now where I'm starting to experiment with a lot of those flavor profiles that are going in there, the cardamoms and all sorts of other stuff. The galangal, or galangal, as they properly pronounce it, but I don't in class, as you guys know, and other such things. There's so many different flavors out there when you start to explore Asia, the Asian world. The nice thing I like about this book is that it takes you through the world and it breaks down dining at home. And dining at home for me allows me, it keeps telling me, hey, keep in mind that, cultures are different. And what we consider something here, they don't consider there, vice versa. So that's why I like looking at that section when I get into a new area, just so it kind of gets my head around the fact that, it's not just us and our way of doing things. But then it breaks down your flavor profiles. And they all have their own mirepoix, right? And what you'll see as you move from country to country, as we're bordering and we're moving around, is that things will pop in and things will drop out of those flavor profiles. And someone will be absolutely shocked. What the hell was that? I never associated basil with Asian cuisine. Basil to me was always Italian cuisine. So you'll see those things pop in and out. And that's why I really like this. And the highlight, not to us are unusual, but they're standard items, how they get to where they are with their flavors. And it helps you understand the areas better. It helps you enlighten you into just broadening your flavor profile. One of the best cuisines out there isn't a cuisine, it's fusion. When you take several different cuisines and you mix them, don't get me wrong, it can go horribly wrong. Okay, I mean horribly wrong. But when you are able to combine them and make something awesome, that's what really sets you off to the next level. You can make the best bechamel sauce in the world. How much better is that than the next best bechamel sauce? How much better is that than the worst bechamel sauce, right? But when you start intertwining cuisines, you really come up with something unique, and that says to you, I want to go back there. I want to keep exploring what that person's doing.
See if Liz
Anything
or
else,
Tani
Chef?
have anything to say. Nothing. I was trying to see if the students have questions.
Not really.
Liz, Latani.
Yep.
I'm trying to see if Latani. She showed up, but she didn't say anything yet. So,
Mumbling back there. every
any
once in a while.
any questions?
All right, well, guys, thanks.
Yep. Hopefully, I'll
Well,
see
thank
you
you.
again in the near future.
All right.
Oh, I'm just kidding, Alberto. So don't
One would
log
hope
off
not.
when you hear there's
One would
another
hope
demo.
not. I'll see you in the future.
Actually, I
Take
just want to
care,
see
everyone.
Chef Dan eat that tofu. That's what I want to see.